is going on, everybody? We are back for another episode of the ABJ Podcast. I am your host, Anthony Blackwell Jr. Episode 80. 80 episodes. I started this back in October or November of last year, and we're 80 episodes in. And I took a hiatus because life fell apart for me. But here we are, 80 episodes later. If you're watching this is pre-recorded. So if you're watching it live and you're like, why aren't they answering me in the chat? It's because we're not live. This was pre-recorded a couple weeks in advance. There's gonna be a few of them this month that are gonna be this way. I will be currently a day away from getting on a plane and heading to the UK. So I will currently be away for this week and next week. So every episode you see from now to the end of the month will be all pre-recorded. So even though we're not be able to chat with you live, please feel free to put comments in there. Let us know what you think of the episode, as well as letting us know how you feel about everything. And like I said, just be engaging, hit those likes buttons, and send me some messages while I'm over in the UK and say hi to me and buy merchandise and help me out with donations or tips or whatever you can do. Because I'm sure while I'm over there, you could buy me a beer in the UK. So yes, I want to say thank you to our sponsor, Suplex Vintage Wrestling. They have been keeping the podcast alive this entire month, so huge thank you to them. Probably wouldn't have been able to come back if it wasn't for them, so let's give them that plug and that love. So guys, it has finally happened. A whole store dedicated to vintage pro wrestling. They said it can never be done, but I have seen it with my own eyes. Suplex Vintage Wrestling is a store curated by wrestling fans for wrestling fans. Located on 5th Street in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, just one block south of South Street in the heart of Queen Village. Their shop features the largest collection of vintage pro wrestling apparel under one roof. Their selection fields classic designs featuring your favorite wrestlers from the Golden Age, the Attitude Era, Internationals, Indies, and more. And if you're tired of watching premium live events at home, then SVW hosts the best watch party since your friend Kyle's birthday party when you were 12. And if shirts and watch parties are not your thing, don't forget about their selection of figures, replica belts, and trading cards, from their t-shirts and hats to rare wrestling memorabilia. They have something for every wrestling enthusiast out there. So what are you waiting for? Check them out at suplex.svu on Instagram or their website, suplexsvu.com, and let them satisfy your wrestling needs. So if you're looking for an old school t-shirt, like an old school DX, like original print vintage t-shirts, their website has a bunch of stuff that's on there. And if you're in the Philadelphia area, go in person because they have so many things. If you're looking for that exclusive shirt that was in a pro wrestling tees crate, they probably have it because someone brought it in. If you're looking for an old school Dude Love, any you name wrestler, they have all the old original line t-shirts and memorabilia, the Hasbro's, title belts, everything is there. Go check them out on their online shop. Follow them on all social media. They make really cool posts and they're a blast. So today's guest, TJ Epixx, I'll bring him in right now. But before we do, I met this dude. I believe the first time we got to link up was he was coming with HC Loke and his crew to the Sanctuary. And at that time at the Sanctuary, it was kind of like the Sanctuary class, HC Loke's crew. There was some guys from Syracuse coming down. I think Flower City, I'm not mistaken. Creator Pro people were coming. We had all these different schools and wrestling people all coming at this one summer, and we were there almost every single weekend, and they would come in, and we were just putting together these fantasy matches that you would never even see before, and they were happening at the Sanctuary, and he was part of that, which was really, really fun. And it was my early days of my commentary, so I was very, very blessed and very, very fortunate to be calling some matches with some stuff that probably not a lot of people even seen, because it was, like I said, just all these people coming together and just making some really cool art. And then I just seen him on the scene killing it ever since. I seen him up in New York at Excite and a bunch of other different places. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. So without further ado, let's bring him in so we can hear about his origin story. TJ Epixx. What's going on, man?
Hey, man. Hey, how you doing, man? It's good to be on the show.
I'm doing great. Yeah, so like I said, kind of we locked horns the first time at Sanctuary when you guys were coming in, and it was just like that one summer of just all these crazy matchups from people from all over the place just coming in on a Sunday and just putting together some insane stuff.
Yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. I remember that summer, I think I wrestled like something like 80 matches, including all those ones. Like we were going crazy just trying to wrestle every single day that we possibly could. So I remember I think it was like every single Sunday for the most part we were down there. We were doing almost every Sunday at the Sanctuary, sometimes every Saturday, and then like almost every Friday. So like it was a lot. I got more reps at commentary that summer than some people have their entire career. Yeah, no, I totally believe it. Just because I remember there's matches, like there's some days we're there for I don't even know how many hours, but I remember we left in the morning. We didn't get home till pretty dark because we were just happy to be there and be around wrestling all day. Like I do remember, like we went up on Sunday just because that was the only day that we consistently had available. So that's why we went up on Sundays. I remember.
Yeah. So let's dive into the first question here. And when did you fall in love, and what's your earliest memory of falling in love with the pro wrestling business?
So falling in love with pro wrestling. So I was always a fan just because my dad was a fan, but little kid, I didn't know much. When I truly became a fan, it was actually kind of weird. Was my grandmother let me pick out one toy at the toy store, and it was a Kurt Angle action figure. And I thought it was a cool looking figure. I was super excited. And
hair or no hair?
No hair.
Okay.
This was 2005. So yeah, definitely no hair Angle. And I remember I went home and I ended up flipping through the channels and I saw SmackDown that night, and Kurt Angle's on the TV right at that moment. And it was just that correlation. I was just like, wait, I get to see this guy now? And I can't remember the match. I can't remember what episode it was, but I just remember falling in love with it right there. And then I was like, yeah, this is going to be my entire personality for the rest of my life. So.
Kurt Angle was a guy, he replaced that itch for me when Shawn was gone. When Shawn left for that time and then Kurt was there, Kurt was like then my new favorite. So I'm also a huge Kurt Angle fan. You ever get a chance to meet him?
Well, so this is going to be out after the fact, but I actually get to meet him on my birthday because I'm doing Speedy Fest in Binghamton and he's a guest there. So
oh man, that's
I'm
awesome.
excited to meet him. I'm probably not going to tell him any of that story or whatever. It's just
you're my first action figure.
Yeah,
I got to tell
face to face the guy that got me into it.
Yeah, I got to tell somebody one of the first action figures I remember buying was a Headbangers action figure, and I remember meeting him. I'm like, you were one of my first action figures I ever had when the new line came out, and he's like, that's sick. And then he pulled out his shirt later on that show, and he was wearing his action figure on the shirt, and I go, oh shit. He goes, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, they're cool people. But yeah, no, Kurt, I met Kurt at a PPW. It was freezing in the building and he was just not having a good day. I think he had a lot of body pain. And I was like, man, thank you so much for your career. And like, you were super entertaining. You're probably hands down one of my top favorite wrestlers of all time. And he's like, glad you liked it because my body hurts. And I was like, all right, have a good day. And I didn't know what else to say.
I mean, you can't really blame for saying that either. Like, he gave a lot to this business, and
he's probably doing it not on pain pills anymore because that was a huge problem for him. So he's probably just dealing with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was expecting, but at the same time, like, as long as he's happy at the end of the day and everything, like, I'm happy for him. Like, we don't need to see him do anything too crazy anymore.
No, he's the GOAT, man. He changed the game up. But yeah, man. So growing, like, you were mostly that would be considered what the ruthless aggression era. That's post. No, that's still Attitude, right? Attitude era was still kind of.
It was like the beginning of the ruthless aggression era, I think, because like 2005, I would have been 6 or 7,
I was just graduating high school.
Oh man, yeah. So that was like when I was like, developed enough to understand what I was what I was watching and like the people I was like fans of. The only reason I remember that is because when I was 9, my dad took me to WrestleMania 23, and that was the craziest experience ever because that was my first wrestling show I ever went to as well.
Wow.
Like, he just knew I was such a huge fan, and he saved for Christmas, and yeah, that was my Christmas present.
I've never been to a pay-per-view. So we're gonna pretend we're recording live, but this All In pay-per-view in UK is my first pay-per-view I've ever been to. I've only been to like Raw and SmackDowns, like two small SmackDowns and 2 Raws when they come to Wilkes-Barre area. That's the only shows I've ever been to. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been to any of the weekly shows. It was just that WrestleMania, and I was able to go a couple of years ago to WrestleMania 37, and that was kind of
sick.
Really cool experience as well.
Now, growing up, also as a wrestling fan, did you gravitate to any other sports growing up? Were you always very athletic? Like, did you play anything else or do amateur wrestling?
So, yeah, I actually did. So I played football and lacrosse since I was a little kid. My parents got me into it. I'm from a lacrosse-heavy town, and just my family loves football. And then in 6th grade, because I was a wrestling fan, I was like, you know what? I'll try amateur wrestling because it's got to be similar to wrestling, right? And then I ended up falling in love with just the sport of amateur wrestling. And I did that all throughout high school until my junior year when I started getting some health issues from cutting weight. But it's okay. It's like I just did not do it in a healthy way back in the day because I didn't really know how to. But it did give me a lot of experience and everything that I still use today, especially with, the kind of wrestling I do today, and I do chain wrestling and whatnot. Like, it's a good thing to have in my back pocket, and I'm happy I did it.
Absolutely.
I grew up playing sports. Yeah. I actually went to college and played lacrosse and football there as well. So always just been athletic my whole life, and always was looking for something to just do and put everything that I had into it,
Yeah. So at what point did you transition from, you said you played some college ball and some college sports. At what point where you said, okay, I want to still follow this dream of wrestling, and now I want to do professional wrestling? How did you make that jump? How did you find your school? How did you find where you are at that point in time?
All right. So it's kind of funny because I always wanted to be a pro wrestler. Like, I wanted to at least 3 matches in my life just to say I did it, and I had no idea how to go about it. I didn't know anything about the independent scene. I didn't know really much about anything besides what WWE was and some Ring of Honor stuff I saw now and then, and I remember I was out of college. I was just working at Applebee's or something at the time, and I used to do volunteer work at the VFW. And when I was there, I got done, went inside, had a beer, and I was watching a wrestling video on my phone. And I remember some guy taps me on the shoulder. He's like, "Hey, there's a guy around here that does that, right?" And I'm thinking like, "Oh yeah, sure." I'm thinking like, some kids in the backyard or something. He's like, "No, he did like ECW, Ring of Honor." I was like, from this area? He's like, "Yeah, I'll give you his info and you can give him a call." It was Loke. And I ended up giving him a call. He told me that he was opening up his own school in like the next month. And I just met him there. And then over the years, we became closer and closer. I actually got hired as a contractor that worked underneath him. So we spent literally the summer that you saw us. I was literally with him 5 days a week for work, and then the whole weekend. So we never got away from each other, which I probably drove him crazy at times. Not probably. I know for a fact I drove him crazy at times. But it was a good, like, loving relationship. Like, he's my wrestle dad. Like, he's my father figure in this business, and I literally owe everything that I've done and will do in this business to him. And
now,
the fact that he
did you guys all, your crew that you travel with, is that did you guys all come in around the same time, or how did you guys all stagger in together?
So it's kind of weird how we all came together as a group, I guess. So obviously I started with Loke, and Loke always told me to train everywhere and learn from everybody. So he ended up sending me up to Flower City when our school wasn't available. And when I was up there, I met my tag partner, Chael Connors.
My bad. I somehow popped Stan Styles on screen. My bad.
I know. I had to take a double take. I was like, wow. Yeah. But I met my tag partner now, Chael Connors, up there, and we actually got put in the tag team way back then. And I'm not going to talk about when we first started tagging, but I'm happy with what we're doing now. But after Loke had his own building is when Chael started coming around, and we got more in sync as a tag team, started taking a lot more bookings outside of the area as a tag team, and developed like that. Cian and Rain, I actually knew him back in college before either one of us ever wrestled. And when I was training with Loke, I didn't have anybody else in my area that did it. And me and him, we bonded back in college over wrestling. So I kept pestering him over and over again, like, "Hey man, so when you want to start training with me? Are you going to start training?" And COVID hit. He finally had the time, and then obviously he fell into it, and he's one of Loke's guys now in our group. And then the last one to join us, that's part of like our core group, is Ref Ryan, who honestly, it's weird because he like just started showing up one day for trainings and stuff, said he wanted to be a referee, and then all of a sudden he's like the heart and soul of our group. Like, I can't explain it. Like, it's weird to think about not having him around.
I love him. He's such a nice kid.
Oh, he's such a great guy. Yeah, and he takes it very seriously, which I respect the hell out of. He's not just a guy that's like, "Oh, I got a ref shirt, I'm a ref." Like, no, he always takes it seriously.
He was trying some different things too with his look. Like, he was gonna ref in fishnets or so at one point. I was like, it.
That was just like the style of the show.
Yeah.
And he asked if he could do it, and they're like, "Yeah, that fits perfectly for what we're doing." And I was like, he's definitely got a fashion sense. Like, he's always the most shiny person in the room anytime you see him when he's not in the ring. But when he's in the ring, he just keeps it to a modest yellow glasses that you know who he is.
They pop too. I mean, listen, our referee got over wearing red shoes.
He's a great ref, and you're gonna recognize him. That's the perfect thing.
I take a lot of umbrage when people post online that like commentary guys should just stay in their lane and they shouldn't make it about themselves and just stick to the match. And I was like, yo, I traveled just as far to be here as any other wrestler did, and I'm putting just as much work and time in, and we're all trying to get our shit in, and stand out and be different and be the first version of us. If I go in and do commentary, I do it how you think I should do it, then why am I doing it? And I feel the same way with referees. Like everyone's like, referees oversell, and I'm like, I actually get into it more because I watch the referee just as much as I watch the match, because being smart to the business, I realize if I know something's coming up or if someone might be legit hurt, I'm watching the referee because I'm looking for his cues. Like, so a good ref is just as good to watch in a wrestling match than two talented wrestlers are.
Here's a great example I can think of is like, if you put prime Shawn Michaels and prime AJ Styles in the ring together, should be an amazing match.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have a good ref, that ref can ruin that entire match as well.
I've seen referees botch matches.
So people don't understand like how important a ref really is, and that's why I'm going to give Ref Ryan his flowers whenever I can, because he deserves them.
Yeah.
So
and Ref Ryers and Connors, I know I've knocked 2 members off your team with interviews. You're actually predating an episode's going to happen live next Monday with Siren, but I did not forget about the other 2 guys.
That guy. Never mind. I hate Siren Rain.
But I will have the whole crew on eventually. Don't worry. I will be reaching out to you guys. Man.
Yeah. No, we're we all just kind of came together, and then Loke made a play on the Bullet Club, and he literally had shirts made just as a big rib, and we owned it because we love everything about it. He has a shirt too. He deemed us the Bullshit Club because we're bullshit. Yeah.
I love it. Loke is someone when he started coming around the sanctuary, I was like, this is really happening. HC Loke's here. This is cool. Like Ring of Honor, ECW, HC Loke. I wasn't even aware. Yeah, I wasn't even aware of the Luna thing until later on when I met him and found out like, oh shit, like not only just was he involved in the first intergender match, but like I love Luna Vachon, and like we actually talked about it on the podcast with him. He was a really good interview as well. But your crew is just really fun, man. And I kind of touch on it with Junie when we talked about it. Like a good stable in wrestling is more than just a stable that you see on TV. A good group of people to pick each other up when you're down and when you need that up, like because this business will mentally and physically just destroy you. And it's
it really will, man.
And it's hard to maintain a wrestling life and a work life because you are trying your hardest to make it to the next level, and you have to make a lot of sacrifices and a lot of weekends, and you got to put the road at timeline, and you got to travel, and it's hard to maintain relationships and be around people you care about and friends and family, and that could be tough for a lot of people. But when you have a core group of brothers and sisters with you, it makes those trips better.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, like I've had some of my lowest times, and they were there for me to lean on when I needed them the most. I feel like I've done the same for them, and like we've all gone through difficult times at different times, and I've seen each one of us help out in our own ways that we can every single time. Like we love each other, but at the same time we're stern with each other, where we're going to be like, no, like I love you, but we got to figure this out just to get you right back on the right path again.
Yeah,
keep your focus on what's important.
It's also super important to have a group of people to tell you when your match sucked too. Like, yo, I don't know what you're doing, but that shit sucked. We need to fix it.
Yeah, we're not afraid to be honest with each other. Like, we stay for the car. Like, hey, so what was up with that thing that you did with the thing? And like, we'll be honest with each other. And sometimes it's like, hey, what if we do this and spin it on its head or something like that? Like, that's another thing I love is just riding with these guys all the time. We're bouncing ideas off each other and just having a great time. Even if it's not wrestling, like we used to last summer, we went to Darien Lake a bunch of times just when we would have that one random day off that fit for all of us. And we just like hanging out with each other, like even Chael deemed my place Casa Epixx because they just crash here after every like Binghamton show and stuff that we have.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Now, if I would think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm thinking like, all right, when you train and you buddy up and you link up with a guy like HC Loke, like what type of person are you going to get? Like what can Loke bring to the table? And the 2 biggest things that when I just think of HC Loke is I think obviously crowd work, storytelling, making things make sense, but then even outside the ring, the dude's known for his insane work ethic. Like every single aspect of the business, he's done it. He's done referee. He's literally been the guy who drives the trucks to shows and set up the ring and make sure everything's like assembled. But also he's extremely, I would say, known for how humble he is, like for how much he's done and how much he's put in and how much time and how much blood, sweat, and tears. He's also very giving and humbling, and he'll keep you kind of level-headed. Is there anything else that an HC Loke brings to the table, coming from that training style?
Yeah, I mean, one, I think Loke's too humble because I don't think he realizes that the legend, the respect that I have for him, that the entire business has for him. I will go to random shows, and I'll have guys who I've never met before, but as soon as I say I'm trained by Loke, nothing but great things to say every single time. Like, he's just one of the top trainers and people just to be around in the business, but yeah, like you said, like, one, psychology is super important to him. We talk about it all the time. There's times where he'll be annoyed with me, but I'll call him at like midnight on the drive home from a show, just be like, hey, I tried this thing and it didn't really work that well, or like, hey, it kind of worked, but I'm wondering if it could work better. Like, what do you think about this? And usually he's like, you do realize you woke me up, right? I'm like, yeah, sorry about that. It's on my mind. I can't get it off right now. He's like, okay. And then he'll give me advice right there on the spot. And then obviously he's taught me work ethic. I always try to do ring crew as much as I can. I am always just traveling, trying to get my name out there. Just my first year alone, like, to get me reps and everything, he brought me down to some of his Tennessee loops. And I mean, one, that got me used to traveling, got me used to being around new people and everything. And it got me used to taking those long drives. So, like, Tennessee used to be a 16-hour drive one way for us.
Jesus.
So, for me, when I hear 3 hours, I'm also in the middle of nowhere compared to, like, the wrestling scene. I hear 3 hours, I'm like, oh, sweet, it's local. Like, this is a local show now. Like, anything below 5 hours, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's pretty local. Like, it's not too bad.
I think the furthest I did was 4.5, because I would have to drive and pick somebody up, and then from there drive to about as far south Jersey as you can get down to Rio Grande, and then Atlantic City was a far one, and then to drive, do the show, do everything you gotta do, get there at 12, and then leave at probably 2 o'clock in the morning, and then drive all the way back to Pennsylvania. It's a hike.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that. Like, some of my friends and family think it's cool. Like, oh, man, you're traveling all the time, man. That must be awesome. Like, yeah, I get to see, like,
the venue,
some monuments every now and then when I'm driving past them really fast. Because like, it's usually get there, get prepped, do the show, and then, man, I got a show 6 hours away tomorrow. Like, I should probably get home and get a couple hours of sleep. So,
I think the closest we got to exploring a town was we went to Rio for a Rio show once, and we're just like, yeah, we're like 3 hours early. Let's just go walk the boardwalk for an hour and a half. And that was the only time in 2 years where I got to like explore the town I was in before a show.
I've been able to do it a couple times. One was when we were down in Tennessee, just because there was one day where we just had to kill time all day. And then the other was in Florida, which we did a few months ago. And that was just because there was like a Thursday show, and I think it was like Saturday, Sunday. So I think we had like one day with nothing to do. And we ended up going to like Orlando and downtown Disney and stuff just to check it out. Never been there before. So I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Also, I feel like spending a lot of money on Disney World.
Yeah. So that's awesome, man. So, how long into your training before you get your first match, your first booking?
So I count it as my first match, but it's more of, I went to a show to help out, and I was able to bump, and I was just guided through this. My first match was with 2 other newer students, and we went against Robbie Vegas in a gauntlet match. And wow. I think I was like a month and a half into training. Lope gave the okay because they needed bodies, and he's like, these are my 3 guys right here. They can bump. You just tell them what they need to do. And did it, and it was honestly like, I remember just being ecstatic. Like, I think all I did was take an arm drag and a TKO. Like, it was seconds literally, but I felt like it was the coolest moment ever. I just got to live out my dream. Like, I was in a wrestling ring in front of people. Yeah, it was 10 people in the crowd, still people. So it was very exciting. And then my first like real match where like, I felt prepared and like it was like a full on show was in November. So I think about 3.5 months in of my first bump, I finally had like my first real one-on-one match, and it was against Adon, who I started training with as well. He's getting back into wrestling now. That I believe so. He is.
Yeah, I'm just referencing the Sanctuary, and like I've seen a lot of things like PPW and BPW, and a lot like Outbreak at one point in time. A lot of these guys were part of a promotion that also had a school attached to it. So you do your training, but you also know there's a school that school leads into a show, where you kind of almost came in like dojo style. Like you went to a guy who didn't really have a promotion. He just trained you, and then you worked together to get to a promotion to work. So it's interesting to hear, because like a kid at the Sanctuary, you can walk in, start training, and within a couple weeks they can be like, all right, we're going to do a practice match, but we're going to treat it like it's a real match, because they have that luxury of doing it that way. And it's but like I always explain to them, like, you have it different than if someone like you, who had to go and wait till Loke's like, okay, now you can go and do this one thing to see how you go, because you don't have that, like, it's, you just go, when you go to train, you train, and like you do a little bit there, but you don't have that luxury to jump into a match right away.
Yeah, I mean, Logan had us do practice matches and everything, obviously, and like one thing I'm super appreciative of was when I started, Loke literally told all of us, learn from everybody. Like, he wasn't trying to be like, oh, if you train with me, you can't train with them. Like, he's all about, like, he is my head trainer. So at the end of the day, if I learn anything else anywhere else, I kind of run it by him, just get his opinion on it, because he says it all the time. I truly believe it. Like, wrestling's just different flavors of ice cream. Like, you can like chocolate, you can like vanilla. However, at the end of the day, it's still got to be ice cream, you know? Like, you can't make a chocolate cake and just be like, oh, it's ice cream because I said it is. Like, no, there's fundamentals to what this is. But you can have all these different flavors and options that can flow together, you know? Sometimes there's something that we'll learn from somebody, run it by Loke, and he adds a spin to it. Brand new thing. So I've just always been grateful that I'm able to learn everywhere, and Loke was always okay, and like, if anything, pushed us to do that.
Yeah. So when did you have your, I would say, your aha moment where things kind of clicked or snapped for you, when you said like, okay, your nerve, like I'm not saying the nerves go away or anything like that, but you have that moment where you snap into it and you're like, oh, I feel like you hit your confidence level, or you feel like, you know, things kind of, all your ties of training and like the back of your head, Loke saying, do this, do that. And then it finally happens in a match and it just blends together for you.
Yeah. So for me, it didn't even happen in the middle of a match or anything. I started to put pieces together, and I'm far from where I want to be, like with psychology and everything. Like, I always want to expand it, no matter how good I think I am at it. I know I can always be 1,000 times better than where I'm at now. But the big aha moment when I was like, oh, I'm starting to like understand this and do this right, was I did a 6-man ladder match at X Site in Binghamton, and I was the last person coming out. Yeah, it really is. It's actually our home promotion now. So Loke's School Now Fighting Arts Pro Wrestling Institute is attached to X Site, and we have our own building in my hometown now. So I'm happy about that, because I'm not.
It's a fun roster to work with too.
What?
It's a fun roster to work with.
Oh, it definitely is. Like, I've loved everybody that I've been able to work there. But sorry, I kind of get talkative.
Another guy coming up on the podcast, that's an Excite guy that I'm a huge mark for. I'm excited to talk to him, but it already happened by the time they all get to see it. Sean Carr.
Oh, I love Sean. Like, Sean helped me get to a level at Excite that I was just like, I felt I wasn't ready for, and he kind of like shoved me to the deep end, and we had a series of matches that I still love, and I actually have a piece of a table. I'm not sure if you can see it. Table right there that I just wanted for sentimental value, because it was my first like gimmick match. We did a ladder match, and he let me do everything I wanted to do. And I was kind of stupid, because everything I wanted to do was me bumping. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to just fall off the ladder to my feet. And I didn't realize, like, oh, yeah, I'm pretty stupid watching this match back, because I did all the stupid stuff. But
he's one of a handful of people, if I was in this business, I would seek him out to try to work, or just be around him to rub off and get some ideas and stuff. He's got a great
mind. He's helped me so much just throughout all the times I've seen him.
Is his cousin still wrestling?
Sorry, who?
His cousin, the one that's part of the band.
Yeah, Tyler Reed. Yeah, he's still wrestling.
I seen his debut match when they did the Punk show, and I was very impressed with his first ever match. He did really well.
Yeah, he did. No, I love Tyler. He's a great dude. I know him and Sean actually had the last main event at the original X location up at the Oakdale Mall before they moved out of there.
Yeah. Where are they at now?
Like, they had something. So we now have just the location in Elmira. I know we're looking for another building in Binghamton, but as of right now, we have the X in Elmira, which we're still running shows out of. Some pretty good shows, actually. I know we got a whole thing going on with the new back seats right now, like with me, my tag partner Chael, and Lokar being our mentor. It's kind of like new guys and mentors kind of thing happening right now up there.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. I like that. The new back. I got to see them at Win. They actually did an angle where they jumped Loke at Win, and I was like,
oh, really?
Yeah, and I guess it led into what you guys are about to do. But what about that venue that Joe Davis ran in Binghamton, that gymnasium? It's huge.
Yeah.
It's probably cost a lot to have it, but that was a cool venue.
That was a really cool venue. I like the show. Got to meet Arn Anderson and Brock and everybody, so that was a fun show.
You know what? Was a big takeaway for that show for me?
What?
You know what was a big takeaway for that show for me? How good Julia Hart is. Why don't they let her wrestle on TV?
She didn't wrestle much on TV at that time, and I'm not sure if she's getting much ring time on TV right now. But
no, not at
all. I
remember
when I watched the match, I was like, wow, she can go. I'm like, not that I should have been surprised, but it was just my first time seeing that. And I was like, oh wow, she's doing it all right now, and she's trying to get better. That was really cool.
Yeah, she's talented. I think she's really good. I can't wait for them to let the leash off her a little bit and let her get some work in.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see what's going to happen with her in the future. No, but sorry, the moment though was at Excite was before the 6-man ladder match. Everybody went out before me, and I was the last entrant into the match. And before my music hit, the crowd was chanting my name, and they just knew I was the last person that was supposed to go in. But it was that first moment where I just had goosebumps. I'm just at Gorilla, everything's silent. I'm hearing the crowd, my music's not even hitting yet, and I was just I absolutely love this feeling right now. It was a high that I've been chasing ever since, and I've had a couple moments similar to that, but I remember that was the definitive moment where I was just this is what it's about right here.
I don't lean over don't play it yet. Don't play it yet. Give me a couple more
seconds. I wish I could have had him waiting longer, but it was just at the same time, it just felt so right and good at the time that it's a memory that's going to stick with me forever. And then obviously I've had a lot of great moments since then, stuff I'm doing now. I remember I had a cage match with LSG that is still up there with one of my favorite matches I've ever done, even though I got, pretty nice scar across my forehead here from it.
Nice.
Yeah, but it happens, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'd do it 1,000 times over again.
Yeah. So the name and the character of TJ Epixx, where did you derive it from? Where did the name idea come from?
Okay, so back in college, actually, I tried to be a streamer and stuff just because during the summer I had to stay in my college town to train for football, and there's just a lot of downtime, not much to do. It was a really small town. So I tried doing the streaming thing, and I was like, oh, I need to come up with a cool name. And I don't know how I workshopped it, but I ended up settling on TJ Epixx. And I tried it for a little bit, but when it got to editing and everything kind of just fell apart for me. I didn't have the time to do all that extra stuff. Mm-hmm. So I kind of put it to the side, but I kept the name in the back pocket. And then when I finally got to be build and on a card and stuff, I was like, oh, sweet, I get to use this name now. However,
so TJ's not a shoot name. So
TJ, I've actually was never called TJ growing up. However, my full name is Tyler James Cook.
Okay.
So TJ is Tyler James.
Mm-hmm.
And I have just gone by TJ ever since, just because, it is my name, and it's just easier to go by your gimmick name so people aren't getting confused and everything. So I just kind of introduced myself as TJ, and now more people call me TJ than they ever did Tyler in my whole life.
Starting this podcast, I have people that stop calling me Anthony, and I'm just ABJ now. It's this weird transformation when you. It's
you did make it so I had some people turn some heads at my suitcase. By the way, buddy.
I love it. Yeah, that sticker. That sticker is.
Gave me a sticker, and that little space right there. I remember 2 girls were like, what's that sticker on your suitcase? I'm like, it's a podcast. It's not what you think. And
search it. Google it.
Just look up the podcast. Trust me, it's a podcast. It's nothing bad.
Did you see the new logos?
Or I'm looking like a creep. I don't know.
Yeah.
But either or, I think it's funny.
The new logos that just dropped, it says only ABJs and then real small, like an OnlyFans logo, and then it says podcast real small. And then the way I mark it is the only podcast you should be listening to, only ABJs. And then there's we'll just say a hub logo where it's ABJ, and then in the orange box pod.
Yeah.
You got to lean into it.
Man.
I 36 years of my life, I didn't realize I had a funny abbreviated name, like ABJ. Yeah. Thank God I'm a junior.
Oh man.
You could do a lot of fun things with that acronym. But yeah. So like you said, you streamed and stuff. Like what was it, like game streams and stuff?
It was just game streams. It was like Fortnite and stuff. I remember there's a couple videos where I just live streamed that I think maybe 3 people watched at the time, and I deleted it.
I suck at it. I'm trying so hard to try to pick it up, but I get so bored. I'm probably terrible to watch because I don't have anybody in the chat. And I know the trick is they said you have to just like act as if you have 1,000 people watching and just be entertaining, and I just can't do it.
I mean, that's kind of where it goes down to wrestling, man. Like, even if you're in a venue with only 20 people there, you got to act like you're at WrestleMania with 50,000 people open the nosebleeds. Like,
yeah. I guess for me, if I'm being active, I can, but like just sitting in front of a screen and also playing a video game, like, and then I start like my jaw drops a little bit because I'm like into the game, and I'm like, you're like, this ain't a good look for anybody.
Yeah, I always did it with friends. So like, I remember we did a couple things where I called it Drunk Gamer, where we would just sit and drink beer and play Fortnite the whole time. I
love that. Did you ever play Drunk Mario Kart?
Oh, Mario Kart? Yeah, man. That's
where you crack a beer at the beginning of the race and you have to finish it, but if you finish the race and your beer's not done, you lose.
Yeah. Well, you also have to stop. So it's either you can crack it and chug the whole thing there, or crack it, start driving, but you have to pull over every time you take a sip of your beer. Yeah. So there's a strategy to it. You know, do you try to get really out in the head and then
you get hit with a turtle shark at the
end? Yeah. No, it's great. I love doing that. It's a fun time.
Drunk Mario Party is another fun one.
Yeah, I have not done that. I honestly have not had the time to just sit and play any kind of video game really with the boys. You know?
Nintendo make those party games. Nintendo makes are good drinking games.
I believe
if you're over 21 years old, everyone at home listening.
Yeah, don't underage drinking's bad. Remember, TJ Epixx says be a good noodle.
Be a good noodle.
Be a good noodle.
So who are some people you worked or have worked that you feel like you mesh really well with? If people were going to go back and look up TJ Epixx matches, what are some matches or some people that you worked that you're proud of or that you enjoyed?
Oh, I mean, obviously Loke's on that list. Like, we've only had a couple matches here and there, but every time it's just flowing. Like,
how was it getting spit on by Loke?
Well, he used to do that to me just when he yelled at me, so I'm used to it. You know? Just had some spit fly out when I'm getting chewed out at work or whatever. But
I asked everybody. They're like, "Oh, I'm working Loke this week." I'm like, "Did he grab your dick and spit on you?" That's usually
he did grab the old family jewels down there. Yeah, I think for both matches. I know for a fact we had 2 1-on-1 matches, but those were always great times. Loved working LSG. Like, again, that cage match I had with them was a great time. We've had a couple matches since then. Every time it's just been a pleasure in the ring with them. Mm-hmm. Obviously Sean Carr. I'm trying to think like now I got to switch because I got to think tag teams too. Because, you know, me and my tag partner Chill, we're CXR together, and we're having some fun, great matches. I feel, and we've had some awesome opponents. Like, we've gone against Main Event, Miracle Generation. We have Wasted Youth coming up.
Where'd you wrestle Main Event and Miracle Generation at?
So Miracle Generation, we wrestled at ESW as well as Bang Bros. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to call them that right now, but we had 2 awesome matches up at ESW with Miracle Generation and then Bang Bros after that, and still some of my favorite tag matches we've done.
Send those to me when you're done, when we're out of here.
Definitely will. I'll send you the links. And then I know we went against Main Event up in Smash in Canada. That was a really fun match. I remember it was the first time we worked heel in about 2 years, so that was a nice little experience awakening, you know, about just flipping it, because we're so used to being babyface that I want to work more heel. It's just that everywhere we go, we're babyface. Not much more you can do about it. But
when you're a heel, you should add another X to your name. Like your babyface
And
name is the 2X, and then the heel is the 3X. You get more gear, and then you can sell different merchandise.
You're gonna get me canceled, man. Come on.
It's triple X as in poison. Get your head out of the gutter.
Yeah, whatever you say. You know, maybe some people aren't fans of Poison. I like Poison, but then I'm splitting the market. So
the old every time I remember the old Looney Tunes cartoons, and when they drink like poison or beer, it was XXXX. The triple X.
You're saying Poison like that? I'm out.
Yeah.
Sorry. Let's cut that part right there.
I think the first time I seen you and your partner wrestle was Sanctuary, and the first 2 times you wrestled, you had to work each other, and that was a good match. You guys worked each other very well.
Yeah, no, I forgot how we did that. Yeah, we've worked each other a few times now, and it's always been just great meshing with each other and everything. And that's why I think we work well as a tag team too, because like our movesets are so similar, our style is so similar, and we just have like a natural timing with each other when it comes to just strikes and combos and just working together as a tag team. Like it's just easy. Like a lot of our stuff that we come up with is just, hey, I have this quick idea. Let's see if it flows well. And if it does, we keep it. If it's kind of clunky, we just kind of toss it out and don't bring it out ever again. But like one of my favorite things that we do as a signature is we call it flip and slide, where it's a whole corner combo, and you've seen it a couple times, where like I'm flipping over the guy, he's sliding between his legs, and the super kicks. And honestly, the first time we did it, we came up with it that day. Like
That's awesome.
We never did it before, never practiced it before. It was just like, oh, I think this is going to work. And it's been in our arsenal for the last 3 years because we've been tagging since we both started. And
those movesets are having 2 or 3 of those a match is what makes a tag team stand out. Like you think of Miracle Generation, you think of Main Event, just 2 people you named right there that you worked. Yeah. Main Event's doing the hula hoop spot. Main Event's going to do the spring DDT, like the springboard DDT. Like they have the shotgun DDT. You know what I mean? Like they do all those cool moves, and that's what makes a tag team stand out and make people go, oh, like that was cool. I enjoy that tag team because of those opportunities. So that's cool that you they're good. They're good moments.
Yeah, no. I love just tag team wrestling psychology into it and how you can, tease something earlier, play it off later, and just work off each other's moves. Like it's so much fun and so much more storytelling inside of tag matches than just regular one-on-one matches. So yeah, and that's something we want to do even more of for the rest of this year. Obviously, for the rest of the time, but we're trying to branch out a little bit more because, like you said, the first time you saw us at the Sanctuary, that was the first time we ever branched out from our home place we started at. That was you're the first person to see us outside of our hometown.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so like you remember back then we didn't have even official tag gear yet. Then.
Listen, if you're not booked on a Friday, first Friday of the month, Sanctuary doors are always open. We'd love to have you come back down and work our first Friday.
Oh man, definitely would be happy to come down sometime. Just got to figure out the dates.
The first Fridays have become like we'll just say stunt fighting because we can't call it anything else. It's stunt fighting open mic night. Like people just show up and it becomes, oh man, you're here. I've never worked you. And then like Trotsky's kind of like because I've become in the scene and I know people. He's not maybe familiar with everybody. He's like, so who could work here? Good. And like the day Rocket walked in the building, I was like, Rocket should be working Andre Polino. Like that should happen. I mean, and like our Rocket should be working Hawthorne. Like, and it happened. Like it's just really fun. And then people come and they get that Sanctuary experience with the lights and the smoke and they're just like, yeah how do I keep coming
that
back
is
here?
Cool. That I remember that just being like the coolest light setup there too. Like,
and we're getting people involved now. The community is starting to learn about us. We're starting to fill up those pews. The last
nice.
Yeah, we have 2 students who have really came in and really brought their family and friends in, and they've been like the catalyst of like this giant crowd. We had over 100 people there on Sunday.
Oh wow!
And half of there's like 3 people.
I remember back when there was like 20 people in there. It sounded like 200. Like
you should hear it now. Like one side of the arena is.
Man, it sounds awesome.
Yeah. One side of the arena is this one kid's family, and the other side of the arena is this other kid's family, and they're feuding. So it's like a soccer match. They're like screaming at each other the whole time. It's awesome. It's so much fun.
I like that. I really like that. That's cool.
Yeah. So who are some people that you want to work that you haven't had a chance to either tag team or singles wise?
Oh man, you put me on the spot right now. I'm trying to think just off the top of my head. I mean,
have you guys ever worked as a tag team CMD?
We did actually at NFW. We worked CMD, which again, another fun, great match. I remember I did some weird new thing in that match that I kind of messed my hip up on. So unfortunately, that's kind of how I remember the match. But I also remember it just being a really fun and awesome match to begin with. So, yeah.
Deshaun and Sean Carr are two guys in this business that I would definitely gravitate to learn from.
Yeah, no, both awesome, great guys to learn from and just talk to. I mean, I think after our match, I still talked to for 2 hours after. Like we were just exchanging stories and talking and having fun.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
So I gave you a little bit of leeway there. Some names of some tag teams?
Oh yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
Oh man. I mean, some names, obviously everybody's on the kick right now, but I would love to go against Matt Cardona at some point. Mike Bailey, would love to go against him.
Ooh,
Kevin Blackwood. Yeah. Kevin Blackwood, like I saw him up at ESW when I first started and I've wanted to work him since and I just haven't had the opportunity to. Just everybody down in that whole Jersey scene. Like I'd love to have a one-on-one with like Dustin Waller, just because I've worked in a few matches now, but never in a one-on-one. So like these are just guys I always think about. Obviously, I'd love to work my tag partner at some bigger shows in the future, but I like being a tag team with them right now too. So it's kind of like double-edged sword. But now just and that's just some like singles wrestlers that I would love to go against. Hopefully in the near future, far future, who knows? And then like obviously tag teams, we just want to go against everybody. We're having so much fun with everybody. I know Chael really wants to go against MSP. I think it's because he wants to dance with them. I think that's the driving factor right there. But no, just I want to have every banger with tag teams that we can. Like obviously I'd love to work with guys that we've already worked 2,000 more times. Like we're just trying to get out there as much as we can. Obviously we've gone against High Seas, we've gone against To Infinity Beyond a few times. Like it's just always great times calling matches with those guys and being like just being in the ring and like flowing well together. Like it's such just a cool chemistry that I've noticed and like really appreciate having with these guys.
You gotta get a match against that East-West connection.
East-West connection?
East-West connection with Nick Wayne and Jordan Oliver.
Oh, that's what. Okay, I didn't know that was their tag name now.
Yeah, GCW tag team champions right now.
I need to pay more attention. I kind of fell off of watching IWTV for a little bit. So
well, GCW's done Fight now. So Fight TV, like that promotion, you get all the GCW stuff for like $4 a month or something like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm kind of cutting all my subscriptions right now. Let's cut this part right.
Yeah.
So right now.
Besides professional wrestling, the background, you got I see some Star Wars, some other things going on. We talked about video game streaming. What are some other things besides professional wrestling that you do as hobbies or things to pass the time? I see you got the PS5 there behind you.
Yeah. So
I'm an Xbox guy all day long.
See, PlayStation 3 is like my first like big boy console when I was a kid. So like I've always just been PlayStation. But yeah, no, I mean I game. I'm obviously a nerd. I love Star Wars. I love Marvel. I love DC. Like Marvel, I love their movies and like all their series that they have done. Kind of fallen a little stale lately, but give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
DC Comics, I love the comics more than Marvel's just because I feel like the stories are just much more intricate and personal. And then obviously I like Star Wars. Like anything nerdy, I essentially like. Whether it's that stuff I just mentioned, anime, anything. And then I used to game a lot, not as much lately. It's more of just like, Fortnite. I've tried the AEW Fight Forever game.
That's fun.
I'm excited to see the Battle Royale stuff for it, to see how that's like. But
I just hope they add more characters like in patches. Like, hey, here's Willow Nightingale. Here's this person. Here's like that's what I'm hoping for.
very bare bones right now, but I'm excited to see what they do in the future with it.
The first 3 days, I unlocked everything I can unlock. I pretty much did everything I can do in the story mode. The only person I didn't unlock yet is Owen Hart. I just can't see myself playing 100 matches with no replay value right now.
So I haven't been able to unlock anybody besides Cody, I think, in it, and that shows how much time I don't have to play video games and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I think I've played like maybe 10 matches on the video game so far.
Yeah, I went hard when it first came out.
Yeah, but
I just started Resident Evil: The Village. That's before we started talking. I played the intro to Resident Evil: The Village, so that's kind of what I'm working on now.
Oh, nice. No, but this is just all stuff I love. On top of that, when I'm not actually chilling and just watching the nerdy stuff that I'm into, besides watching a lot of wrestling all the time, I'm doing a lot of graphic design work. I actually started my own t-shirt business where I print hats, t-shirts, koozies, everything like that, as well as I design gear. I design t-shirt logos and stuff like that, as well as just logos for other wrestlers all the time.
Awesome.
And it was kind of cool turning something I'm passionate about doing, have fun doing, into another work avenue, because I already got to do it with wrestling. Now I'm doing it on the other side of my life. So I'm just really happy to kind of be having the freedom to do all this right now. And hopefully I can make it self-sustainable where I'm not stressing about finding clients and everything. So if anybody's interested, hit me up on any social media, man. I'm happy to do any kind of gear design, logo design, or just get t-shirts and hats and stuff for everybody.
So the best way to contact you to get logo to stuff would just be hit up your personal account?
Yeah, hit up my personal account on Facebook. I'm TJ Epixx on Facebook. I'm TJ Epixx, TJ_Epixx on Instagram and Twitter, as well as you can find my Facebook page for my my design business, which is TJ Graphics, spelled TJ space GRAPHIXX.
Kind of. And we'll have all the links. We'll have all the links for that below. Once this,
thank you for
so
that.
you can go and check them out.
Thank you, man. But yeah, just having a lot of fun doing all that stuff on top of I get to enjoy watching Star Wars and stuff when I'm making all this and everything. So it's a cool combo just to be able to make a living right now and things I'm passionate about.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, you're insanely talented. A lot of people should be checking you out. Make sure you do follow him on social media. Check him out. Search TJ Epixx on YouTube and follow some of those matches at those promotions. Is there anything else you want to plug or get out before we get you out of here?
I mean, like you said, man, if you follow me on social media, anything helps. Again, if you are interested in designs or t-shirts or anything like that, I'm always free. Don't be afraid to message me. And besides that, I've asked you guys to check out my tag partner stuff as well. Chael Connors.
Coming to the podcast soon.
He's going to be a fun one. I know that. He's very charismatic once you break through his shell. Love the dude. He's a great dude. But Chael Connors, you can follow him on Instagram, and I think he has a Twitter as well. And he's actually the one that posts a lot of our tag matches on YouTube. So if you follow Chael Connors on YouTube, it's a purple logo with his face, and it has a bunch of our CXR matches on there. So if anyone's interested in that, check that out.
All right. Well, listen, once again, everything you're watching from here on out will be pre-recorded, stuff that was already been done, but they won't be live. But please, like I said, enter the chat. If you're watching this live or watching the video of this currently, whether it be on Facebook, on Twitter, or X, Twitch, or on YouTube, please search us on the audio side of platforms. Either it be Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Pandora. That helps out too. You know, if you're in the car and you want to listen to something, the audio platforms are there. Coming up this Thursday at 7:00 will be the person we talked about earlier. Andre Polina will be on the podcast on Thursday at 7:00, and then on Monday, we'll have Blackstrom on the podcast, and then on Actually, 83, I don't have a graphic up yet. So that'll be surprise you later on. And then on Thursday, the president of independent wrestling, Phil Stamper, will be on the podcast. So we have a lot coming up for you guys, a lot of fun things. Episode for 83 is going to be Viddy Glamrock. So that's going to be episode 83. And it's going to be a blast. So guys, check out the rest of the stuff here. If you can, check out the links below for my guests as well as stuff for ABJ. Support, buy some merch, buy some t-shirts, check out that Patreon, and we'll see you guys next time on the ABJ podcast. We'll see you. Here's some music by the Converse kid, Billy Trey.
Sounds good, man.